President, colleagues, a very significant motion is before us with item 27, and the intent of this motion is to create a citywide office of unarmed response and safety to coordinate and streamline the various innovative approaches to public safety. A new city agency or office will be needed to lead, coordinate, and further develop existing unarmed or crises response programs. CIRCLE, as it's known, Crises and Incident Response through Community-Led Engagement, is just one of the innovative programs currently being piloted in various parts of the city. In my district, we have already seen the positive impacts of the CIRCLE program in Hollywood. In the first 4 months since its initial launch in January of this year, CIRCLE diverted more than 500 calls related to homelessness and mental health that went into the 911 emergency response call center and diverted the response away from uniformed armed police and instead deployed trained service providers to respond with services, support, and the possibility of wellness and case management. In that same time span, CIRCLE was responsible for more than 20,000 proactive positive engagements between service providers and people experiencing homelessness. The program has been so successful that in this current fiscal year, this council almost tripled its budget. We are already establishing it in other parts of the city. This is why I introduced a motion today to explore the possibility of having a CIRCLE program in Echo Park, historic Filipino town, and Rampart Village. Imagine the impact it will make when we're able to coordinate and streamline all of these efforts citywide. In addition to helping the city meet its goal of creating an unarmed model of crises response, a citywide office of unarmed response and safety would allow the Los Angeles Police Department to focus on its core mission of deterring crime. In fact, Chief Moore himself has publicly expressed support for a concept of a citywide office of unarmed response and safety because he knows this frees up more officers to stop gun crime, assaults, and deter crime. It's time for the city to finalize the development of a systemic crises response plan that would send a range of trained, unarmed service providers to respond to nonviolent and non-criminal situations instead of law enforcement. I'm confident that in our collective ability to improve upon the public safety model in Los Angeles, to focus police where they are best suited and trained to address, and to treat mental health and substance abuse issues with the skill and response that is most appropriate. I appreciate your attention to this issue, and I ask for an aye vote. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Ms. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, we all know how important these efforts are, but what's even more critically important is our ability to measure the success and the work associated with these new models of public safety deployment. And so this conversation is long overdue. One of the items I'm most excited about continuing to give recognition to is the early onset success of the therapeutic mental health vans, which has demonstrated our ability to not only hold the county accountable to providing the critical mental health services and intervention services that will relieve our rescue ambulances from being held on calls that they are not equipped nor trained to do. But it is something that has already demonstrated our ability to get the individuals that are facing critical mental health crisis connected to the very treatment beds that we know are going to serve them in a manner that we are just not set up to do. And so while we have continued to engage in conversations about alternative deployments, what becomes more increasingly important is our ability to measure and have the metrics associated with how these programs are operating. And when they're housed in different areas, whether it's the therapeutic mental health vans, which is being managed and tracked, whose results are being tracked and managed by the LA City Fire Department, or some of the other deployments that are being held within so many different departments. It's critically important that we have accountability in this, because we're talking about several million dollars that are being associated with these programs. And so, having to house them in a singular location, in a singular entity that will be accountable, will be important going forward, just for the sake of making sure that we are making a true impact that can be measured and be accountable for greater public safety outcomes. And so with that, I want to thank my colleagues for everyone's effort. I know this is something that we're all very passionate about, and I look forward to our continuing this conversation and advancing this work together. Thank you.
Seeing no other members on the queue, let's prepare to vote on this item. Open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 eyes.